to me, the call her daddy trend of let's empower women by having casual sex is so destructive and so misguided.
They've been hoodwinked. They've been bamboozled. They've been coerced into giving away all their power and have it disguised under the fact that they're becoming more empowered.
So we just set the emotional foundation that there are millions of men, healthy men, who are out there ready and willing to commit to their dream woman who makes them feel the abundance of juicy emotions and so much love and so much support in their lives and so much elevation.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm feeling an immense amount of mixed emotions right now.
Really?
Like, really, I think that was very hard for me to hear.
Welcome back to Listen Before Love. We are back again for episode 5. And today we're talking about relationship and dating hot takes.
It's going to be a juicy one.
We getting spicy.
I'm ready for this one.
You locked in?
I'm locked in to my opinions. It's going to be good.
Let's get it, baby.
What's been on your mind?
All right, let me give you my first hot take. Men are incredibly simple. But we have been, my sisters in Christ, we have been taught to overcomplicate men for the benefit of man. Not to roast them or drag them. We also have done it to ourselves in a lot of ways. But men are incredibly simple. All you have to do in dating relationships is ignore everything the man is saying and look at his actions. And when we focus more on the words than the actions is where we go wrong with men. Men will only do what they feel inspired to do. So if a man is not showing up for you, he is not moving towards you, he is not planning the dates, making time out of his very busy schedule, no matter how busy he is, no matter how rich he is, and no matter how many resources this man has, if he is not moving towards you, he don't want to. That's the simple truth. What do you think about that, darling?
I agree. I'm not going to agree with you everything today, I have a feeling, but this one I definitely agree. There's a gray area that's been formed that's made the men and women relationship very, very complicated, but it doesn't really need to be. Men in particular are incredibly simple. I feel as if a woman can make a man in a relationship feel useful while simultaneously greeting him with nothing but love, that's all you need. That's all a man wants. And for some reason, it's just been so overcomplicated. I believe men prefer directness. They prefer, I don't know if you fully agree with that. They prefer things to be simple and easy. And I think you're spot on with that.
I love that, baby. Well,
your tone doesn't feel like you fully agree with what I just said.
I think men love when they're direct, and they also love a woman who knows what she wants, and they love when a woman communicates what she wants. But I think men like a little bit of a challenge, which leads me to hot take number 2. Men love mystery in dating. And that has become incredibly hard to create in 2024 because we have technology and a little small supercomputer in our pocket at all times where when we get a text, we think we have to answer it right away. And we think we have to be constantly available. That, in my opinion, is killing attraction. To be overly available, to be overly accommodating. If you really want to capture a man's heart, you have to make him feel something.
I agree. The first sentence you said of men like a challenge, that's where I'm like, whoa, I don't know about that. Red flag. Because men, they want to be able to go home and relax from the day. When we get back from war, we want to be met with love. We want to be met with everything that would make us feel safe again and feel respected. And I see a lot of times, because I've heard this before, men like a challenge. And so women take that as, okay, I'm going to test him on these certain conversations that I'm going to test him here and there. And so when you say challenge, that's immediately where my mind goes. I'm like, oh, no, men do not want that. But through the lens of that you are currently saying, the challenge, I do agree. We want a woman that we feel as if we need to somewhat earn whether we need to do certain things throughout the courting process to almost kind of be worthy of her time, worthy of her attention, or we just need to build a lifestyle before they even come into our life to make them worthy of that woman. That's definitely something men want from women. We want to feel as if we're earning everything that we're receiving. We don't want a welfare check type of woman. We want something that we need to, try to achieve or try to attract. And when that's not the case, men oftentimes don't value it. And so I think you're spot on with that.
So I'll amend my statement because men want a challenge in early dating, in the courtship process, for example. They don't want a challenge in their relationship. So I'll just clarify what I meant by that. I think that it's incredibly easy for women these days to do too much. And I mean that in like the literal sense. Like women are doing too much. They are planning the dates. They're texting too much. They're too available. And like we said in a prior episode, women, when I talk about this, will say, well, I'm just being myself. And I think we have to be really honest about what is our truest essence, what is our most authentic self, and what are things that we do out of anxiety because we don't know what to do or how to operate in a place of surrender and letting go of expectations and letting go of, does he like me? Where do I stand with this guy? I think one of the most powerful things, and this is my next hot take, one of the most powerful areas in a relationship between men and women in early dating is when the man doesn't know what is going on. When a man doesn't know where he stands with a woman because she's not constantly available. Because you aren't getting into a routine where every time the guy texts, hey, you want to hang out in 2 hours? And the woman's just there. I think if you were to create some positive tension, and this isn't by playing games or doing anything intentionally, it's just you are so busy and in love with your life as a woman that you're not constantly available. You're not going to bend over backwards to fit into his schedule. He should be bending over backwards to fit into yours.
A toxic man wants you to bend over backwards to fit into his schedule.
100%.
But a divine man, a high value man,
healthy man,
exactly, wants you to have your own life, wants you to have your friends, your habits, whatever it is that occupies the far majority of your time that leads to your highest growth and just your happiest version of yourself. A man wants that. He wants to be an addition to your life. He doesn't want to become your life. And I believe that's the same for most women. If a woman were to text, when are you free? And the guy's like, whenever. Anytime. It's kind of a red flag there. Like, you're not doing something with your life. You don't have plans. You don't have a schedule. You don't have business. You don't have anything. Just whenever. Again, it sounds like they're both on welfare. It sounds like they had nothing to do all day. They bring no value to the world. And therefore, we both believe, men and women, that if we're not bringing any value to the world, we're not bringing value to a partner or the lover. And so I think you're spot on with this. That's a controversial take for most people here, but I think what you said is spot on.
Do you find, so let's take our relationship into this one a little bit, when men secretly love the chase, a healthy chase of not knowing where they stand. Now, you can agree or disagree with me, but I do think in our dynamic, it's a perfect example of me being a woman who had a full life and a full schedule and was busy doing things I truly enjoyed. I wasn't playing any games. I wasn't telling you I wasn't free when I was like eating bonbons on the couch, even though that's perfectly acceptable and I could absolutely have done that. I just had a full life. So when you would reach out and invite me to things, I just genuinely couldn't go.
I agree.
So I think what's important, I think this is what is a differentiator between playing games, which is download this ChatGPT wrapper to, get text prompts that you can use to make a man want to chase you or be obsessed with you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I had gotten myself into the place where I had loved myself so much and had filled my schedule with things that genuinely lit me up and that I loved to do, and I wasn't free. So my energy was expensive. I wasn't just giving it out for free. And he had to earn my energy because my energy is expensive.
I love that. It's treat your life as if your energy is expensive. But this is the problem that I see happening over and over again because people hear this and they're like, oh, okay, men want the illusion or women want the illusion that my energy is expensive when it's actually dirt cheap. That's the problem that happens. Because I've heard stories over and over again out of these games that people feel as if they need to play to kind of show people that they're valuable. They don't really care, whatever it is. And so they'll set up a date and not show up. Or they'll, they'll purposely wait 48 hours before they text back. Like, there's a certain sequence of events they believe they must do to show that, like, oh, I'm not that interested, even though you really are. Oh, I'm not that free, even though you really are. There's a balance to this that we're trying to make. It doesn't mean you got to go in the extreme and act like you're as busy as the president, or the complete opposite of you doing nothing all day and you're retired.
Right.
There's a middle ground that must be coming from true authenticity.
Absolutely.
I think what really stems from this is we really want people to build a life in which they're having fun. They're enjoying their calendar is somewhat full of things that make them feel lighter and brighter, because that is what we want in our person. That is what we want in our lover. We want them to be having a life. At least a healthy dynamic would want that.
I love that. And that's what I think happened with you and I.
I think so too.
Because you were coming forward in a very respectful way, saying, hey, here's my schedule. I'd love for you to join me for these things. And I was just like, I can't make any of those times. Like, thank you. I wasn't being like, ooh, I'm just going to tell him I'm not busy. When in reality, I can go to these things. And like, if you are doing that, people can feel that, because energy does not lie. So it's just funny how when you do all of this beautiful work to love your own energy, love being with yourself, love the life that you've built for yourself, because you built yourself a beautiful castle and you don't really need someone to come. You don't need to be Bob the Builder on some other dude's castle. You built your own castle and you're living in it, and you're just like, ooh, if you want to come on in here, let's see what you got. I'll just let you work for it a little bit.
Yeah.
And here's my next hot take. Men value what they work hard for. And I'll give you a story to bring this home. So Cam has a white Raptor truck, and he literally saw this truck and fell in love with it and was like, I am going to go get this truck from another state because I want this truck. And he went through that effort to go get that one specific truck because he wanted the truck. Even though it wasn't convenient, it wasn't, a mile away. How many miles did you travel to get this truck, baby?
Well, I flew there. So is it a complete different state, hundreds of miles away.
Right.
But I knew exactly what I wanted. And just like every man, once they know exactly what they wanted and once they see it as possible, if they really want it, they will go to any length to achieve it.
Exactly.
Same for women. Same for their pursuit of women. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
So I agree with that. I think that's spot on. If a man really wants you, he will do what it takes to get you, to attract you. If you are not seeing effort, there is a sign.
If a man doesn't want you, you will know. A man who wants you makes himself abundantly clear, because again, men are simple. The foundation of which all of our advice rests is that men are incredibly simple.
But let's get one thing very clear here. If a man wants you, it becomes abundantly clear, but not always by his words, but by his actions.
Period.
And so a man will tell you, yeah, we're going to live together and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And they'll say all these great things. Oftentimes to get you to act a certain way that's in his best benefit, that is misaligned with what he just said. And so men are incredibly simple when you look at their actions. Men are incredibly complicated when you only look at their words.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Ooh, I love that. And I think one of the most important things that you can do if you are a woman in dating and you find that you get really caught up in these beautiful fairy tale stories that a man's telling you is you get out a piece of paper and you take words on one side and actions on the other side, and you only pay attention to what that man is doing. His actions tell you everything. This leads me to my next hot take. People use attachment styles and past trauma as an excuse for how a man is acting. And I get this. I totally understand that's like, this does exist. People are anxiously attached. People are avoidantly attached. But sometimes in early dating, we are seeing a man act inconsistent and just saying, oh, he has avoidant attachment style. Baby, no. He just doesn't want you like that. And that's not to say that there isn't a man out there who does want you like that. Of course, there is that person. That person's out there. They want you, and you will know. But we excuse bad behavior for months, if not sometimes years, under the guise of them having unresolved childhood trauma or attachment styles, when in reality, we just need to look at the actions of the situation and choose better for ourselves. If it even is the case, that's great. Go let him deal with it. Go let him heal. You do not need to be Bob the Builder for this man, coming over and trying to fix his emotional wounds. We don't need to be doing that. Just let that man exist over there while you stay in your energetic jacuzzi of warm, juicy emotions. And if he ever does start acting right, then we might look his way. But I see so many women get stuck in a cycle of making excuses for men, and they will come up with the most compelling reasons for why a man isn't doing something. Oh, it's his relationship with his dad. It's a relationship with his mom. This thing happened to him 2 years ago. He just broke off an engagement. We love stories as women. And sometimes we hold ourselves and our emotions and our hearts prisoners to stories that we are literally making up out of thin air. And in reality, what would make us feel so much better and save so much of our time and energy is to say, I am not going to tell myself these stories anymore. I am not going to make excuses for men who aren't showing up for me. And I am going to shift my focus off of those men and onto the men who are showing up for me consistently. What do you think about that, baby?
I absolutely love that. I think women in particular, men do this too, but women in particular, they create this dream reality that they believe can happen with this person, and they will do everything to excuse why that hasn't happened yet. And like, oh, that will happen, but it's just not the case right now, but it will be later. And so I've heard a million excuses in the world, but for men in particular, there's either excuses or execution. Men, whether we know it or not, are constantly doing exactly what we want. So men may say they want to build a business empire, get in incredible shape, or whatever it is, be a better boyfriend, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, they're not doing the actions that would get them there. But they have no problem going out and buying the new video game or spending money. Other than things that are good for the future, they'll spend money on their own hobbies. And a lot of men, it's their cars, it's whatever it is. And so watch what they're doing with their most valuable resources, their time, their attention, their energy, and their money. And oftentimes it's not adding up to the dream reality that the women believe can happen or will happen. And they will say every excuse in the book. I've heard everything. Let me tell you one thing. Mommy problems or daddy problems have never actually stopped a man from doing what he wants to do. If he thinks of 1,000 excuses as just something that happened into his past or something he's currently going through right now or whatever it may be, he's putting those in place because he doesn't actually want that thing. Men are very, very good. If there's something that we need to have or something that we deeply want to have, we will do whatever it takes to get it. But if he's putting excuses, if he's putting words in place of action, he doesn't actually want it with you.
Look at them in the eye when you say that one, baby. I think it's important.
Men are incredibly simple. Like I just said, follow their actions and not their words. Men have been through wars. Men have been through thick and thin throughout the dawn of time. Our minds, our bodies, everything about us are strong if we have it in a direction towards the thing that we want to happen or need to happen. And we will get it. If his words are saying one thing and his actions are saying another, we need to completely disregard the words and just look at the actions. And it's so unique when we look at human behavior because men fall in love with what they see and women fall in love with what they hear. That's why a lot more men are realists or whatever it is, because they only judge reality based off what they see in front of them. That's why more men are geared towards women's beauty and looks, where a woman, can easily fall for a man who just speaks clearly or says all the right things.
Which is why you see supermodels with comedians who are busted.
Exactly.
Because a woman, you can win over a woman's heart.
100%.
You know, and you could be a bust little rat looking man and you can get a baddie on your arm.
You can pull.
It's hard the opposite way around.
100%. And again, it's all about how you make the other feel. And women need more verbal affirmation, or men need more visual affirmation. That's just human nature.
Creatures.
That's just human nature. If a man sees something clearly and knows it's right for him, he will do whatever it takes to get there. That's how this world was built the way it is. So if a man is saying all these things of what will happen, of what he'd like to happen, as soon as this happens, or as soon as he finally overcomes this, whatever it is, but he's not actually doing anything, you don't see the steps towards that destination, he doesn't want it. He's lying to you. Because the lies, the stories he's currently telling you, is giving you just enough for him to continue his bad behavior.
This is a very important thing I want to zoom in on, because I think that women find themselves in a position where men can be inconsistent in early dating, and then they start to make up excuses or buy the excuses from the man. And then now you're like a couple months in, the woman has grown some kind of attachment, especially if there's sex involved. And it's incredibly hard to leave that situationship. That is what causes situationships, is when you notice inconsistent behavior, unless it's, mutual. But I don't really hear any of my friends going around saying, I can't wait to be in a situationship. I don't think anybody goes into a situationship willingly. They usually come in with an intention of, oh, let's just hook up. And then someone catches feelings. And let's be honest, it's usually the woman. So this leads me to my next hot take. Situationships are very destructive for women and beneficial for men. Now, there are exceptions to this, but from where I'm standing in the books that I've read on relationships and casual sex, most women are incredibly impacted by casual sex, and sex is not casual in a woman's body. Now, I'll break it down hormonally. When a man and woman have sex, they experience something very different in their hormones. Oxytocin gets released, and when you have sex and you're in that, last little moment where you're looking at each other and cuddling and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. The woman is feeling emotionally bonded to the man with that release of oxytocin, right? This is the same hormone that gets released when a woman gives birth, when a woman breastfeeds. It takes an act and it creates an emotional bond. If a man has sex and feels no emotional connection to a woman, that oxytocin feels like he just had a great workout in the gym. That's what it feels like. So let's compare and contrast these two feelings. A woman, whether or not she wants to be, has an emotional attachment to that man, even if she didn't want to, even though she said, oh, this is just a casual thing. Whereas the man just felt like, heck yeah, high five. We conquered that one. That was awesome. Great workout. Thanks, bud. Butt slap.
Literally.
That's how it feels. Now, check me. How am I on that?
You are on point. And let me bring up something more controversial. There are women out there in particular, men also, which I don't know if it's 100% the case, but women out there in particular say like, yeah, I get that from most women, but that's just not me. I don't feel a certain way after a hookup or casual sex. You are still human. You still abide by the same emotions, the same chemical and biological transference that takes place during that act. You are just so numb to life that you don't feel it anymore. Ooh. With the pills you're on, with the food you're eating, with the lifestyle you have, with the compromised values that are the result of all that, you are more than likely less likely to feel the bodily and mind reactions to that act. But that's also why you feel numb to other aspects of life. And so the only reason why this is even a thing is because we're being numbed, both men and women. But if a woman gets back in tune with her body, she will know and feel this. This is what oftentimes stops women from having casual sex. In other aspects of life, they take measures to be more in tune with themselves. And that may look different in many plethora of ways.
Mm.
But as soon as they make that improvement with their connection with themselves, they see casual sex as the terrible action that is promoted in our society. That's actually destroying the psyche of both men and women, especially women. It's destroying the it's destroying everything. I don't want to get all tinfoil hat on. You know, I can do that very, very quick. Everything going on. I'll take off the tinfoil hat for now. But what I am saying is that this is being promoted to us in our culture for a reason, but it is not beneficial for us. Ask anyone who's been doing it for a long period of time. Either they've admitted, I wish I would not have done that, or they're so incredibly miserable. They're so numb that they refuse to even believe that they're capable of something deeper. A deeper feeling, a deeper love. And so when you look at it that way, you can see my emotions getting into this because I think it's something that I feel so casually about because I've been on the other side of that. Like you just mentioned, I feel as if I have been someone that said anything and everything to get a woman to like me and get a woman to sleep with me.
Wow.
That has been the case in my past. I was a normal guy. Most men are like that. We will say anything and everything to get laid. So I know this firsthand. I've seen the other side of it. The more in tune I've become with my body, I'm like, even as a man, this does no longer feel good to me. I can't imagine the difference it would make in a woman's body.
Yeah.
But just like one of the greatest philosophers of our generation, Lil Wayne, once said, as soon as I come to my senses.
Oh, God. He said that?
Yeah. Oh, that's a bar.
Oh.
But that's 100% true.
So it's that post-nut clarity hit.
100%. That's legit. That's 100% legit.
Wow.
Which is wild to even think. What that means is we thought we had clarity beforehand. We're like, this is what I want it now.
Right.
But then as soon as the action is done, we're like, oh, never mind.
That's actually a fantastic way of saying, what we've been talking about in a different way, where when a man wants you sexually and he gets you, a man did get what he wanted. He wanted sex and he got sex.
Exactly.
Now, how you expand on this and change this dynamic is by creating an emotional connection with that man first. Now, this is, unpopular to talk about because I know now this is the hot take episode. You signed up for this. All right. So did we. But when I look at my own self, this is why I celibate dated. It is incredibly important to keep your emotional head on straight as a woman, because the second that you have sex, there are exceptions to this. I'm sure there are some rock star women out there who can have sex and not feel anything. They may be numb, like Cam said, but this is the body. This is the human woman's body that has the same reactions, the same hormones in very predictable elements, right? So there is no beating biology in this scenario. So if you're having casual sex, this is what'll happen is you both went into this saying, we don't want a relationship. We don't want anything serious. I'm looking for something casual on my Bumble tag. We all went in with that intention. But what ends up happening with hundreds of people, hundreds of women I have talked to online and on the walks that I host, is that a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, the man that they were trying to have casual sex and something casual with, they now have feelings for. But guess what? The man doesn't. Sometimes there are exceptions. The man catches feelings too. But that you are running uphill, hoping that a man that you started a casual relationship with will convert into having feelings for you, because a man knows what he wants. Now, let's just break this down. What you've heard us say is a man knows what he wants. If a man wanted sex with you, that's what he will go for. If he gets what he wants, that is why he is there. So what you are doing is you're now saying, oh, I know you wanted me for sex, but I want you for more now. I want you to like me for me, and I want you to have an emotional relationship with me. That man didn't want that with you. Okay? In this scenario, he entered this relationship with a very clear, because yet again, men are simple, expectation of casual sex. Both parties shook hands and said, yes, casual sex. And then because of your hormones and your biology as a woman, months down the line, you're now developing feelings for a man who told you on day one that he did not want to catch feelings for you. So I know this is a little harsh. This is like big sister and big brother advice here.
But that's why you're listening.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
Big brother, yeah.
I guess I'm not a good brother. Yeah, sorry about that. But no, okay, we're mom and dad.
Sure.
Mom and dad advice here. This is what we're trying to break down. Like, men are simple. If they say to you, especially in the beginning, I'm not looking for anything serious. If you are, goodbye, leave, listen to the man, what he's saying in the beginning. Anything, when you ask a man, what are you looking for? And he says, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm not ready for a relationship. This isn't the right time for me. There's your answer. Now, where women go wrong is they hear it with their ears and then they get a little competitive and say, I can fix him. I can change him. I can get him to love me. Why? Why do we want to harm ourselves like that? Why do we want to be going uphill? Why do we want to be chasing the man, making him run? No, this is the flipped energy. So what we were talking about last episode, masculine, feminine energy. The second a man tells you he's not looking for a relationship and you take it as a challenge, guess what dynamic you've just created? You as the woman have taken on the masculine energy of pushing the ball forward and chasing this man and trying to get him to love you and earn his love. And now he's doing nothing. He's doing nothing because you're doing everything. And then you get resentful and say, oh, how did this happen? We need to be honest. You made this happen. What do you think about this, baby?
I think the moment you sign up, you sign that paper saying I can change him, you're also signing your prescription for the side effects of a broken heart and a psychotic breakdown.
Oh, wow.
Which is what happens 99.9% of the time. If a man, again, we're visual creatures, we know immediately from the first sight of a woman, is this a woman that I'm interested in? Yes or no? And like it splits off like a tree. All right, yes. Is this a woman I want to date? Is this a woman I just want to sleep with? Or is this marriage material? There's 3 different categories there. After a period of time, after an age, that date one may go away, where either they just want to sleep with them or they just want to marry him. Mm-hmm. But we know immediately. Again, we're visual creatures. I knew immediately. When I met you, I'm like, oh, this is something. Ooh. And even though we started off as friends, I'm like,
because I was building an emotional connection.
100%.
This was unconscious. I didn't know I was doing this, but it just, because my life was so full, it came naturally. I wasn't desperate. I wasn't taking the love of anybody. Anyone got some love for me? Put some love in my cup. I wasn't in that place, which is why I did not care. I did not chase Cam. I did not try to force something into happening. And then in that month of time where he didn't know what was going on, he didn't know what we were, and then he took the actions to find out.
Well, in that month, if I would have 2 weeks in at 10 p.m. at night been like, what are you doing? You up?
I'd be like,
immediately
asleep.
You would have been asleep, but also in your mind, you'd be like, oh, so that's not my person.
Yeah.
Because you know the person you're going to marry is not going to have that type of behavior.
Hell no.
So the good news is when you make these changes, when you say like, I'm going to make sure I develop an emotional connection before any sex is involved, the behavior from a man becomes incredibly clear, their intentions, where they want to court you into marriage or into a long-term relationship to see where that goes, or if they're just looking for a one-night stand or a situationship. The fog that was there before, or the blindness that was there before, comes aside, and now you can see everything clearly, all the behavior clearly, because you're also watching by my actions as opposed to just the words. So I couldn't be on board more as someone who casually dated, and I think I just put like the I don't know yet on Bumble and Hinge.
Let's talk about that.
But I don't know yet. Every person
that was
on there,
immediate left swipe for me. I was like,
perfect.
Ew.
And that was me for most of the time, because I'm like I'd be cool. I'd be down to find like my person, but if that's not going to happen, then yeah, I'll take a situationship. I'll take a one night stand.
So let's talk about this, because here's another hot take. Men are willing and ready to commit for their dream woman.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what's going on in his life. Doesn't matter how much money or no money he has. Doesn't matter what trauma he hasn't resolved. When a man meets a woman who is his dream girl, that feels like this is my future wife. He will move mountains to do all of the work that he needs to do to earn that woman. And it doesn't matter if he's 24 years old, like Cam. You hear a lot of people say, men these days aren't ready to commit. No man wants a serious relationship. Wrong. Men are always healthy men. I'm not talking about toxic men. I'm talking about healthy men. They are ready and willing to commit to their dream woman who makes them feel loved, makes them feel supported, makes them feel something, good emotions consistently. And that's where I think a lot of people fall into this trap that there's no good men anymore. Go to an airport. You look at every man who looks like he got his stuff together. He got a ring on.
Hey, yo.
You look at it next time. You see a man in a suit. You see a man who has good hair. You see a man who's looking good. He got a ring on his finger, baby. Because the good men, healthy men, love commitment, love marriage. They want that with the right woman. But that's not every woman. That's one woman. That's one right woman. And we don't ever have to put ourselves in a position to fight for a man's love who's not fighting for our love. We never flip that script. So we just set the emotional foundation that there are millions of men, healthy men, who are out there ready and willing to commit to their dream woman who makes them feel the abundance of juicy emotions and so much love and so much support in their lives and so much elevation. And Cam can talk about what exactly that is for men, what creates that feeling for them. But there are so many men out there who do want to commit and do want to give a woman everything that she wants and be completely in devotion and worship one woman. There are so many men who want that. But because we are focused, laser focused as women on the challenges, on the problem children out here running around, telling us all the right things and doing none of them, we miss the men who are healthy, ready, and willing to commit. So,
well, all men know exactly what they want in all moments. Let's get that very, very clear. Divine men, healthy men, and toxic men know exactly what they want.
yeah.
They just have different ways to get there. A healthy man, when he sees a woman that he wants to be with long term, will court her respectfully, will commit to her when it's time. A toxic man will also be on this endless pursuit for that woman, but will do so in not courtship-like ways. They would say whatever it takes. They'll do whatever it takes. That's why you see psycho men all the time. Psycho women too. Psycho women. There's two different paths for both of them to get exactly what they want. This is another thing. If a man tells you, I just don't know, that's complete bullshit. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know this. That means he's too indirect to say, this ain't it, chief.
Boop, boop.
The whole, I don't know yet, I need some space. It means that you ain't the one. And he knows that for certain.
Wow.
And even though it may be inconvenient for this to end, because you've been dating for a little while, whatever, maybe whatever situation, maybe, or especially when he's getting something out of it, like sex, whatever it is, he'll prolong it and kind of put you in this gray area. But men see the world with an immense amount of black and white. We know exactly what we want at every time.
So, ladies, if we're hearing this man, it's open book, open heart man tell us the truth, we need to listen to this man, okay? Because he is really like a testament to everything that we're talking about. For the positive, he never did anything toxic at all. He was extremely respectful from day one. He never made me question. He never had me on my toes. I had him on his toes. And he enjoyed it. It was fun. Because we were just like, what's going on here? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
This is also coming from a man who did the normal he for the streets behavior.
Yeah.
The city boy behavior, whatever you want to call it.
A reformed city boy.
The lover boy, I even say. Like
city boy to lover boy.
Well, no, lover boy is a term oftentimes used to coerce women.
Really? I thought that was playboy.
There's a little bit different definitions.
Ooh, interesting. Can you define each of those?
I don't know the exact definition, so I'm not going to do that. But I do know the term lover boy is a term. It's often used like in actual legal definition as a man who has coerced a woman. I know like Andrew Tate and stuff have been called that before in a legal way to coerce them to become a cam girl or do whatever it is that way.
Ooh.
Not saying he did that, but I'm saying that's a term they often use. So the term lover boy has a negative connotation a lot larger than we may think in some aspects of life.
Wow, I didn't even realize that.
But what I'm saying is like I'm saying all this now on the other side, realizing like that did not serve anyone. I think I knew the whole time there's a part of me, and I'm not sure every man feels this because, again, most people are numb. But, and that's, again, they're still human. They're still capable of having those feelings, but their society around them, their habits, their environment has made them numb. But even back then, when I was doing this to women, I did feel something. I'm like, oof. I'm saying this, but I'm also like, that's not what I really mean. And I had this turmoil within. I'm like,
Ooh.
what's going on here?
So you knew when you were running game.
Oh, 100%. And it's unique because there's an entire culture behind it. It's actually expected for a certain age, especially when you look a certain way and act a certain way. It's expected to act that way around women. And there's been, and especially in online culture, there's like meme pages about this life, like City Boys or You Feel the Streets, whatever it is. Like there's,
City Boy.
Yeah, there's a lot of culture now around this type of behavior, which is only promoting it and propelling it. Because people are like, oh, everyone's doing this. Okay, it's just how men and women operate. That's complete bullshit.
It's also why, if we know everybody's doing this, the people who are not doing this stand out in a fantastic way.
100%.
That's why, we can talk about what people make into trends, being healthy or unhealthy. To me, the call her daddy trend of let's empower women by having casual sex is so destructive and so misguided. Because if you know the biology of what happens to women after they have sex, you would never tell a woman to run around giving her most precious resource, her body, her temple, her sacred temple. Sex is such a spiritual and emotional exchange. And I don't think that any constructive movement would be running around saying, no, it's totally normal to sleep with guys on their first date. I just don't believe that that's in any way helping or empowering women. In my experience, that has done nothing but cause both myself and hundreds of women I've talked to live on my walks I'll come with a relationship-oriented topic, or sometimes I'll say, tell me how you feel about casual sex or situationships, and I will have so many women who are psychologically fried over this stuff. And they can't help it. We can't beat biology here. So I understand that there's an angle of this that is empowering women. And if you really do feel like after you have casual sex, you feel amazing afterwards, that's not what most women feel. Most women I talk to who have casual sex leave in the Uber crying. I can't tell you how many times that actually happened to me once. And I've had a lot of very hard issues with saying no in the appropriate moments. But there was this one specific time, just to be open with you all, that I had gone on a date. This was maybe a third date with this guy who was very respectful up until that point. We went to this amazing dinner. We walked around the city, and then he was like, oh, my apartment is actually right here if you want to go up to the Sky Lounge and check that out. In my body, I had a voice, my intuition saying to me, don't go, say no, because he's going to try to make a move on you. And I wasn't ready to do that. But I ignored my intuition. I ignored my voice. I went up to this Sky Lounge place and we hung out there for a second. Then he said, oh, do you want to come and see my place? And again, the voice said, no, you don't want to sleep with this person. You're not ready yet. But the voice told me that, oh, well, if it starts going that direction, you can just say no and get yourself out of it. We always tell ourselves that. And then when we're actually in the position, especially as a woman who grew up in a very restrictive religious environment and did not have no in her vocabulary, did not know how to handle myself in disappointing men, fearing their reaction, being very afraid of men. When I'm actually in the position like that, I freeze and I let it happen. And if you've listened to our former episodes, this is not the only time that's happened to me. But this man, we've been on dates, a nice guy. I know he's not doing anything bad. He's just seeing, oh, let's see if it goes there naturally. So we end up having sex. And I left his apartment in the Uber crying uncontrollably because I did not want to do that. And then I felt it in my body that I had just done something I didn't want to do and that I wasn't ready for. The next day, I'm feeling terrible. He texted me because this was a really nice guy who was genuinely interested in me. So he texted me had such an amazing time with you last night. Please let me know when you're free next. Maybe we can go into swan boats, those little boats you go on the river. And I ignored him because I was really upset. And he did nothing wrong. But I felt so terrible. Like I felt that I had betrayed myself because I did. And then afterwards, I'm feeling this conflicting emotion of like, oh my God, I did something I didn't want to do. And like, now he's like not going to value me because like I had sex with him. And now he's like only going to want this or expect this. And I lost my head. I lost my head and I lost my emotions. So I ignored him. Next day, he reaches out and he's like, hey, is everything okay? I noticed you didn't answer my last text. Now, this is a healthy man. This is a very respectful guy. And I ended up sending him a voice note, just sharing very honestly, I went too far the other night. I actually did not feel comfortable having sex and I did. And I just want to be honest with you that I'm not comfortable doing that going forward for a while. And if that's not okay for you, then we should just stop talking and stop dating at this point. And he called me and he said, I'm so sorry for if I misread something. Like, I actually really like you as a person. I'd like to continue getting to know you and going on dates. I really think that, we could have a relationship and I'm growing feelings for you. And I don't see you as like a sexual object. That's not the only thing I'm interested in here. And he made himself very clear and was like, we can take sex completely off the table until you're comfortable again. And I share this story because, first of all, it felt like a huge moment of growth for me, given my background, to even send him a voice note telling him that I was uncomfortable. I'm typically, in these situations, quite avoidant, and I don't want to share the truth of my experience because I just say, I'm going to fall away and it doesn't matter. But I use myself as an example here because casual sex in literal the hours after I had it made me psychologically in turmoil. It made me psychologically struggle to trust myself, to trust the reality of the situation, to trust him. And that is the reaction I had. And I know I'm not the only woman who feels this way. But when you are bombarded with messaging from your favorite Instagram influencers, from celebrities who are twerking on people all day long, from the over-sexualized ads, from the Call Her Daddy podcast and sex podcast talking about how let's just talk about our sex escapades all the time and not ever talk about our emotional states in these escapades. I feel it's incredibly dangerous for most women or any women who feel the way that I feel after casual sex to keep perpetuating this narrative that women can have sex like a rock star and women can have sex like men and detach their emotional core from the act. So I hope all of that was at the very least helpful in understanding where I got this perspective. After that happened to me, and I felt so emotionally torn up about it, that's when I started looking into why. That's when my research journey on why does my brain scramble after I have a casual sex encounter with a man? And then I learned what I learned about the hormones in the body and how men and women react to sex differently when oxytocin is released. And when you look into the science of it, the biology of it, everything changes. That in that very moment is when I decided to celibate date. That is what informed my decision to say, I don't want to scramble my emotions in my brain anymore. I want to keep a clear head. I want to keep my expectations abundantly clear with the men who date me that there will not be sex on the table for a while. And that's exactly what I did. So before I met Cam and I would go out on dates with multiple dudes, no sex was ever on the table. We were truly just hanging out and getting to know each other. We go out on walks, we go out to dinner, we'd go, go on the swan boats and have a good time. We'd bike around town. It was incredibly wholesome. And I got to know them and they got to know me as an actual human being in person. And that is what I'm talking about when I say an emotional attraction, an emotional bond. That is where you actually get to know each other for the human beings that you are. You take sex off the table. I didn't have to communicate that to most of the guys unless I did feel like it was trending in that direction, or let's say a scenario happens where, oh, you want to come back to my place. In that situation, I will say that, but I wasn't leading with it. Like I wouldn't on the first date be like, I'm celibate dating, by the way. It was like, no, it was only in the situation where I felt like the guy was trying to take it to a place where maybe we can create the conditions for sex to happen. I just want him to know very upfront, this is what I'm okay with. And I'll give you another example of like, I've been very blessed to have dated very healthy masculine men. There was another time where a guy was a very, very amazing chef and he wanted to invite me to his house to cook for me. And this caused anxiety in me because I didn't know if maybe he'd make a move on me sexually. So instead of just waiting like I did in that first story I told you, I actually just FaceTimed him and said, "Hey, I just want you to know I'm excited to eat the delicious meal you cook for us, and I'm really excited to see you, but I just want to let you know that I'm dating in a celibate way. I'm not going to have sex for a while. Emotional connection is very important to me. And so if it trends in that direction, just know that I don't want you to feel like rejected. I don't want you to feel like it's anything about you. It's just a personal decision I've made so that I can date in the way that feels best for me." And he was so accommodating, so amazing about it. I then go to dinner at his house. He cooks me an amazing meal. And then while we're on the couch, sorry if this is hard to hear, baby. Are you okay?
Right ahead.
We're on the couch kissing, and my dress kind of comes up a little bit, and he pulled it down. So that is because I communicated my expectations, my boundaries in the situation. And when you're with a healthy man and you tell him what you expect in a situation or what your deepest truth is, what feels best to you, he will, if he is genuinely interested in you in a healthy man, he will meet you there. He will do everything possible to make you feel comfortable. I'm not talking about the toxics, not talking about the city boys. I'm talking about the healthy men out here. And I know that Cam is one of those men and has probably done the same exact things that I'm talking about.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm feeling an immense amount of mixed emotions right now.
Really?
Like, really, I think that was very hard for me to hear. I'm very glad you shared that, and I think that's exactly what the audience need to hear, because so many men and women in particular are really going to resonate with that. By no means am I angry or sad towards you at all. It's really dawned on me that someone who I care about and love so much has had this happen to her. And I'm very grateful for how it was, because on the individual level, you and that person, it seems like everyone in these stories were very respectful.
Yeah.
And were simply doing what kind of the signs pointed to in that moment. And so I have no ill feelings or ill will towards any of that happening. And everyone involved. It's just the entire premise as a whole that set that up to take place on a systemic level, to have casual sex and everything that comes along with it being promoted and encouraged amongst especially our generation, to see that it's being assigned with the attributes of empowerment, especially women's empowerment and confidence, where the last thing you felt in the Uber ride when you were driving home from that experience were those two words. The last thing you felt was empowerment and confidence. And it makes me angry to feel that, to know that I feel as if we're being lied to through, of course, you've seen both sides of it, and I've definitely seen both sides of it. And on the individual level, and I don't like using this word, but we've been victims to a story that we've been told that doesn't serve us. And it makes me very glad that we're sharing this now. It also makes me, like I said, very sad also about what you shared, but also realizing that there are probably women that I had, all, of course, very safe, healthy encounters, all, of course, mutually consensual for everyone, like all my encounters have been, like the ones you shared, where I can see a reality where some of those women, either after I left or after they left my place, would have had the same emotions you had in the Uber ride home. They would have been crying. They would have immediately regretted it, irrelevant of how that actual individual experience went. It's the feelings they feel after. Yeah, it's again, it's hard to hear someone who's my future wife knowing that she's been through that. It also makes me very proud of you for making that shift throughout your dating life. And more on a, I guess, funnier, lighter note, like, let's keep it real here. Like, as your future husband, I like to know that you're not in those streets.
Yeah.
You know, like I like to know that.
Yeah, I did not want to be in those. That was someone I was dating in a case of I did not follow my intuition, and I instantly saw what happened when I didn't follow my intuition. It was like a profound lesson that I had to learn that day, where it was like I put myself in the position to do something I didn't want to do. I told myself in the moment that I would have the courage to say, no, I'm not comfortable with this, and I didn't. And I learned a lot about myself through that moment. And then immediately after, when I was so emotionally torn up about it, like I remember for a series of like, I think 5 days, I didn't really talk to anyone. Like I was very upset over it because I realized that I did something I didn't want to do and I felt taken advantage of, even though he did not take advantage of me. I was like, I had so much shame towards myself for not listening to my own voice. But then because of that experience, I went and did a deep dive on why that happened to me. I couldn't wrap my head around how something like one small sexual encounter with a guy who didn't ghost me afterwards. I didn't have the pain of this guy just like, pump and dumping or anything, not to be crude, but that happens. I didn't have that. I was honest with him, told him, I did something I wasn't ready for, and that won't be happening for a long time from this point forward. And if you don't want to date, I get it. I even had a respectful man who kept in contact with me and kept being very good, very consistent, taking me out on dates. And I ultimately was the one who ended that relationship and said, I'm just not feeling a connection here. It didn't feel easy to me, even though the checklist all lined up. There was something missing. But because of that experience, I started looking into what's under the hood of casual sex, hormonally, emotionally. How do men experience it? How do women experience it? And once you see what I'm talking about, you never see it the same way. Like I had never, until I did the research for myself, I've never heard anyone in any educational setting or throughout my adult life talk about this. And I think if more people open their minds and hearts and ears to this information, we would have a very different, our society would look completely different. And I think women would realize their true power, which they have been very, very disconnected from in a world that constantly promotes giving their body away and casual sex to men who aren't earning it, who aren't deserving of it, and who aren't even going into it with the intention of treating them well or being in a committed relationship or bringing love and peace and happiness and safety into their lives.
They've been hoodwinked. They've been bamboozled. They've been coerced into giving away all their power and have it disguised under the fact that they're becoming more empowered. That's really what has happened. Men, I'll take full credit for my side, if that's even a thing. Men made this possible. But it's an illusion. It's a trick. And many women are now starting to realize that.
Oh, and I feel very excited about that.
Me too. And I'm also not here. We're not here to shame anyone for this behavior.
No.
Not at all. Like, I was part of that behavior.
It's hard not to be when it's like shoved down your throat and you see it everywhere you look. And the most popular shows like Euphoria are teenagers having sex every other day. Like literally 15-year-olds in the show having sex every other day and doing drugs. And it's incredibly hard to live in today's society and being bombarded by all these sexual messages, not only just ads, but like opening Instagram and seeing OnlyFans models on Reels and everything that we come into contact with saying like, we're moving what is acceptable and what is good for us so far in a certain sexual direction that it takes a very strong person who has decided, like, I don't feel good after I do this. Is there a reason for this? Or like, why are we normalizing women's pain? Why are we normalizing women having casual sex and crying in the Uber afterwards? Or this one meme that I saw once on Twitter, it was like a girl from a movie sitting in a bra on her bed looking like incredibly depressed. And then a girl said like, that moment that hits right before he gets to your house. And it's
right
like,
before he gets to your house, as if before it happens?
You know, it's exactly the feeling I talked about. Like when he had said, let's go up to the sky lounge of my apartment, I knew in that very moment I didn't want to. And everything that happened afterwards was as a result of me not listening to that voice. But instead of saying, actually, like, why are we doing this? It's, oh no, LOL, let's make a meme about it on Twitter that like 100,000 people like, because it's such a universal woman's experience to have sex when she knows that she doesn't want to. To have sex when you're sitting on the bed in your bra before he gets there and saying, oh, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. But we're not telling women, oh, you know that feeling? Follow that feeling. Follow that inner voice. Like she's there to protect you. She's there to make sure that you only do things in life that feel good to you. But instead of doing that, we just create all these messages that make it okay, make it funny, make it, oh, this is just the woman's experience. No, it doesn't have to be the woman's experience. So
I'm feeling some type of way now, so I'm just going to say it. Everything we create, everything we do, even though how bright and shiny it may look, like Great Morning, where we talk about gratitude affirmations every single day, the podcast, the writing, the coaching, the retreat, everything we do is to give people their power back, so that they can say no.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can say no to all the bullshit taking place. So they can wake up in a world that is asleep. That they can bring back their light in a world full of darkness. That is why we do what we do. That's what gets me out of bed every single day.
Mm.
And I'm very, very grateful to see that there is a movement taking place, especially in this part of society, this dating relationships, where people are waking up to that, because it is the truth. It does not serve us at all. And I never thought I'd be the type to say that, because they point the finger at those being like, hey, you probably shouldn't have sex on the first date, as if they're prude, as if they're like, religious and this and that. I'm not any of those things. Yeah. And I've still realized that this is what's best for my soul, my sanity, my mind, my body, my overall health. And it's best for everyone involved. And it's destroying the family dynamic, which is the exact thing we need to improve our lives, to make this hell on earth feel more like heaven. It's rooted in darkness. But we are literally here to have these experiences, to learn from them,
and share them.
And to share them freely without any judgment or shame towards others, because we've been through it too, but to empower them with a different point of view, that all of this, all these games are optional. And the moment we decide that we're no longer going to participate in these games, we enter a whole new realm of people, opportunities, and environments that align us with what we know feels right in our soul.
Mm.
And we're here to help people, guide them towards that new room. And it all starts from learning how to say no. No to the wrong things and yes to the right things. And not what we're told is right and wrong, but we feel is right and wrong.
Thank you so much for watching that beautiful episode and listening to our hot takes, our spicy hot tamale takes. If you would like to watch more or hear more from us, you can go over here or over here, over there. And we're so excited to hear from you, and see you next week.
Bye. Love y'all.
Love y'all.